While Adebayo and Amina grappled with their feelings, another man was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered dreams. Dr. Usman Bello sat in his dimly lit apartment, surrounded by the remnants of what should have been his wedding celebration. For days, he had alternated between grief and anger, replaying the moment Amina had walked away from him at the altar. His phone buzzed constantly with messages of sympathy and support, but he couldn't bring himself to respond to any of them. On the 7th day after the wedding that Vasanti, Usman finally emerged from his self-imposed isolation. He showered, shaved, and put on a crisp white shirt. It was time to face the world again. His first stop was the hospital where he worked as a pediatric surgeon. As he walked through the familiar corridors, he could feel the weight of his colleagues' sympathetic gazes. But when he entered the children's ward, everything else faded away. "Dr. Bello," a small voice cried out. It was Adebola, a 7-year-old patient he had operated on just before the wedding. "You are back." Usman felt a genuine smile spread across his face for the first time in days. "Hello, Adebola. How are you feeling?" As he checked on his patients, Usman felt a sense of purpose returning. This was why he had become a doctor: to help, to heal, to make a difference. Later that day, as he was leaving the hospital, he ran into Dr. Folke Ademi, a colleague he had always admired for her dedication and skill. "Usman," she said softly, "it's good to see you back. How are you holding up?" He was about to give a polite, non-committal answer when something made him pause. "It's been difficult," he admitted. "But being here, helping my patients, it reminds me that there's more to life than my own pain." Folke nodded understandingly. "You are a good man, Usman. And a brilliant doctor. What happened doesn't change that." Her words stayed with him as he drove home. For the first time since the wedding day, Usman felt a glimmer of hope for the future. The next morning, Usman woke up with a new resolve. He had spent too long wallowing in self-pity. It was time to take action. His first call was to Amina's parents. They had been like family to him, and he knew they must be struggling too. "Baba Amina," he said when Amina's father answered, "I hope this call isn't unwelcome." "Usman, my son," the older man replied, his voice warm despite the circumstances. "You are always welcome in our hearts." They talked for a long time, sharing their pain and confusion over what had happened. By the end of the call, Usman felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Next, he called his own parents. They had been urging him to return to their hometown, to start fresh. But Usman knew that running away wasn't the answer. "I'm staying in Lagos," he told them firmly. "My life is here. My work is here. I won't let this setback define me." His mother's voice was thick with emotion when she replied, "We are proud of you, Usman. You've always been strong." As the days passed, Usman threw himself into his work with renewed passion. He volunteered for extra shifts, started a support group for parents of critically ill children, and even began writing a paper on innovative pediatric surgical techniques. It was during one of his late-night writing sessions that he received an unexpected text message. From Amina. "Can we talk?" it read simply. Usman stared at his phone for a long time, his emotions in turmoil. Part of him wanted to ignore it, to protect himself from further pain. But a larger part knew that he needed closure. They agreed to meet at a quiet park the next day. When Amina arrived, Usman was struck by how tired she looked. The confident, vibrant woman he had fallen in love with seemed diminished somehow. "Usman," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am." He held up a hand to stop her. "Amina, before you say anything else, I need you to know something. What happened, it hurt me deeply. It shook everything I thought I knew about us, about our future. But it also forced me to re-examine my life, my goals, my identity outside of our relationship. Amina looked at him in surprise. This wasn't the angry or broken man she had expected to find. Usman continued, his voice growing stronger. I've realized that while I loved you, still love you, if I'm honest, I had started to define myself solely as your future husband. I had lost sight of who I was as an individual. He took a deep breath before continuing. I'm not saying this to make you feel better or to absolve you of responsibility for what happened. But I want you to know that I'm going to be okay. More than okay, actually. I'm going to thrive. Tears were streaming down Amina's face now. Usman, I never meant to hurt you. I'm so confused about everything, about what I want. Usman nodded, feeling a strange mix of pain and peace. I know. And I hope you figure it out, Amina. I really do. But I also hope you understand that I can't wait for you. I can't put my life on hold while you decide between me and him. He stood up, looking out over the park. I'm moving forward, Amina. I'm building a life that I'm proud of, with or without a partner. And I hope that someday, we can both look back on our time together with fondness rather than regret. As he walked away, leaving a stunned Amina behind, Usman felt a sense of liberation. He had faced his pain, confronted the woman who had broken his heart, and come out stronger. The future was uncertain, but for the first time since that fateful wedding day, Dr. Usman Bello was ready to embrace it. Whatever came next, he would face it with courage, dignity, and an unwavering belief in himself.